and welcome to Give Life. I am your host, meek, mild-mannered Paul Abramson. Broadcasting to you from my multi-trillion-dollar recording studio here in southern Indiana. And first I need to tell you the format briefly, then a little bit about myself, and then do a few things, talk about a few things today. I'm hoping these episodes won't be very long. That's my intention. So the format. The Bible says wisdom is the principal thing. Got myself a couple of Bibles here. Here's one Bible. Here's a New Testament. Here's a more official looking Bible, leather cover. Talk about them in a few minutes. Anyway, the Bible says wisdom is the principal thing. Tragically, in these times, so many people have decided that having fun, or I should say maximizing pleasures and minimizing pains, are the principal thing or the main thing, and that group consensus or thuggery, people, the strongest, survival of the fittest, survival of the meanest, survival of the most deceitful, that they are the ones who are right. And we're losing track of the reality around us, what the world is for, what this life is about. In fact, I would even say this is not life, this is preparation for life, and so many people are failing the tests. This is a temporary time of learning and testing. Okay, so I'm going to put on the top part of the screen. Okay, you've seen me. I want you to see me in a suit. Okay, this is what I look like in a suit. Pretty exciting, huh? I think I'm going to wear Hawaiian shirts for these episodes, 10 or 20 if I get to 20. When you turn 65, which I'm 65, then you can wear Hawaiian shirts and you can wear hats, any kind of funny looking hat that you want to wear. I got a bunch of them. I just got 2 of them I'm going to put on today here so you can see that I can wear funny looking hats when you turn 65. So it's something to look forward to when you get older. Okay, let's see. Oh, the $1 trillion bills. You can buy these on eBay or other places. This was actual currency in Zimbabwe, I think about 12 or 15 years ago. There's a lot of prices are all over the board. You don't want to pay too much for $100 trillion. The cheapest I can find, and the cheapest they used to be, was like 20 of them for under $10. That's 50 cents each US. But now the prices are going up, just like inflation and everything is going up. And cheapest I bought some more recently, and they were like $15 for 20 of them. So that's like 75 cents each for $100 trillion. Anyway, they're great gifts to give to people. You know, don't spend it all in one place. Or at church, I'll say, here's $100 trillion. Thank you for being my friend, or something like that. Here's some money. Thanks for being my friend. Okay, so I'm putting words of wisdom up here in Proverbs from the Bible, from the Quran, from Confucius, and from countries around the world. Some of these I actually disagree with, but they're thought-provoking, and I want to try to give life. I want to try to do, what would WWJD, what would Jesus do? Well, I believe that what we need to do is try to be giving. It is more blessed to give than to receive. And so that's the orientation I'm using for trying to do this series. At episode 10, assuming I make it to 10, I will do a recap of the first 10, and then looking forward, 20 will be the max, is what I'm planning to do at this time. So, music, background music. Okay, so I have 4 friends who have kindly composed, not specifically for me, but this is music they have composed and have performed, and they're letting me use it, which is very kind of them. So it's Monty L, Brian H, Steve S, and Randy A. So in the background I'll have music, I'll have Proverbs up here. I hope it's not too busy of a format. I hope it's interesting. The Proverbs above me, the reason I'm putting them up above, is because if these get subtitled, subtitles usually go on the bottom, so I didn't want the words to interfere with each other. I hope that makes sense. And once you've seen me once, you will probably be happy that my face is a lot smaller and stuff. How does that saying go? I have a face for radio. Is that how that goes? That's what they tell me. Okay, so let's see. I showed you me in a suit. Wisdom's principal things, so put these things up here. Let me tell you about myself and my background. So I'm in southern Indiana. I've lived here almost 20 years. This is the longest I've ever lived in one place. I have been blessed to live a lot of places, not just, oh, hello, I got a camera on the side here. I should say hello to that sometimes too. How you doing? And, you know, just like a professional studio, kind of like that. I actually have a really neat microphone thing, but it's a great little holder with the little screen thing, but I don't have a microphone that fits it, so I didn't put it up. Let's see. So I kind of grew up in Seattle. That's where I lived the longest growing up. Graduated from high school in Seattle. I'm a grandfather. I'm a Bible-believing Christian. I believe the Bible is completely true. I do. Yes, I do. I know that sounds crazy, but every generation... Oh, I love history. Okay, so my degree in college was from Portland State. Oh, and I tend to jump around. I know that's bad. I'm not a good public speaker. I think I'm pretty good at answering questions or discussions. I'm not good at arguing. If someone wants to argue, or you know, if they think that volume is more important than facts and logic, I'm not interested. I'm just not interested. I used to be able to speak on college campuses sometimes. This is April of 2023 when I'm recording this. Anyway, the campuses are too closed now. Too much hatred. If you disagree with whatever the current paradigm is, just the hatred comes out. It's very frightening that America is falling to that position. Hate and intolerance. Episode 2, I'm going to talk about movies, which includes some silent movies. So many people today have never seen any of the silent movies. Okay, I don't want to get too excited about this. There's one called Intolerance from 1916. It is a classic film, silent film. The talkies did not start until 1929. You ain't seen nothing yet, okay? That's the beginning of the talkies. But that's next episode. I want to talk about movies because in the last 100 years, last 110 or 115 years, we have begun documenting in both nonfiction and fiction our modern world. And there are some excellent ones out there, documentaries and I think feature films that so many people have never seen. So I want to do that next time. The third episode will be documentaries. Documentaries that you can watch that you may help improve your life, give you a different perspective. I used to live, I never finished with where I told you I jump around, where I've lived. I lived in Berkeley, California. I'm a Bible-believing Christian, very conservative, but I lived in Berkeley, California for 5 years. And speaking to people, listening, talking, asking questions. It is so interesting how many people won't get out of their comfort zone. Will not, I mean, these are very often smart people, high intelligence. But if you're only listening to one narrative, if you're only listening to one way of thinking, of course you're right. Of course you are. Because everyone you're talking to and everyone you're listening to, either on TV or on the internet or what you're reading, agrees with you, and then they'll usually use a straw man argument. Have you ever heard of straw man argument? It's where you'll set up, here's what they believe, here's what those other guys are. Oh, and they're just so dumb. They're just so stupid. In fact, some teenagers will make videos, you'll see them online, owned in 23 seconds. Owned in 15 seconds, something like that. It's kind of funny. There used to be a bumper sticker that says, ask your teenagers for the answers while they still know everything. By the time you turn 30 or 35, if you're a young person and you're offended, well, hold your breath or stop watching. Go somewhere else. Don't send hate email to me. And actually, my email address is on the internet because I have 2 web pages. Please don't subscribe me to all kinds of horrible things or send me hate mail. People do that, and anyway, I know it is naive of me to give you a way to contact me because people are going to disagree with me. I'm going to say a couple of really strong things. Please don't kill me. Please don't send people to beat me up because I disagree with you. Please don't burn down my house or trash my car. I don't like that I'm doing this series of videos. The problem is I know too much. I contend that I know too much, and I believe I need to share what I have learned in life and I'll put these out there. They're free. Please don't chop them up. They're going to be, I guess, copyright free is what I'll do. Please don't chop them up just to make me look like an idiot. Some people do that. My friend Kent Hovind, here he is, here. He's one of the best known creation speakers on creation science, and he has a 7-part creation series, one of the best. There's some really good creation science series out there, and he used to not copyright his seminar series. This is years ago. But then skeptics, atheists and other skeptics would chop up his videos, take all the scientific evidence out just to try and make him look foolish. Oh, here, you want to know what Ken Hovind says? Here's what he says. And then they chop it up. Well, if you have to cheat to win, excuse me, but if you have to cheat, if you have to chop up, I'm going to say hello to the side camera again. I know this is hokey, okay. Hello, how are you folks over there doing? Okay, I'm having too much. I need to calm down. Paul, you need to calm down there. Okay, I'm feeling better now. Okay, if you need to chop something up to make someone look like a fool, well, you're not being honest with yourself or with others, are you? Right? I believe this life, this time on earth, excuse me, this time of learning and testing, this preparation for life, is about developing character. Wisdom is the principal thing. Jesus said when he sent his disciples out, "Behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves." Sheep are not known as very smart animals. They're kind of dumb. They follow the leader. They'll go astray. It happens if you don't know anything about sheep. "Behold, I send you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpents and innocent or harmless as doves." Notice that the wise part comes first. I believe the Bible is consistent all the way through. I have a few charts I'm going to lift up here. And I believe that the Bible is consistent through the Old Testament and New Testament. We're to develop wisdom. We're going to have problems. In fact, problems are just a part of this life. "Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord delivers them from them all." It's a verse in the Bible. I have said before in churches, I know I'm jumping around and I haven't gotten to where the different places I've lived and places I've worked. I'll get there in just a second here. But I have sometimes said in church, who does God love more, Bill Gates or you? And usually the people will go, well, Bill Gates, cha-cha-ching, I got Monopoly money somewhere here. I need to get that out. But here's some multi-trillion, $100 trillion bills. Who does God love more? Okay, now let's add a Bible verse to that. This is actually in Scripture twice, the same verse. It is rare that something's repeated in the Bible. It is rare. Very rare for something to be in there 3 times. Even more rare 4 times. I only know of one thing that's in there 17 times. Anyway, but there's a particular verse that says, "For whom the Lord loves, he chastises, even as a father the son in whom he delights." Now who does God love more, Bill Gates or you? He must love me a lot. If you're a believer, either a God-fearing Jew or Christian or of another faith, and you're trying to learn what is this life about, and praying and doing devotions and stuff. Look, I need to explain to you, I don't have all the answers, and I know I don't. I believe I have a few. When I was in Berkeley, the conservative town of Berkeley, I love saying that in a church, the conservative town of Berkeley, at least it seemed conservative to me. They just look at me. I love the way people look at me. I'll say things just to get a reaction. People will see if they're listening. They'll just look at me. You think Berkeley's conservative? Excuse me. If you're a non-native English speaker or you're from another country, Berkeley is known as a very liberal community. So I told you I'm very conservative. Can you be either conservative or liberal and still respect the other person? A lot of people can't. They're so convinced that they are right, that they're completely right, and that anyone who disagrees, they'll get very loud, they'll get threatening sometimes. Like I say, I don't do good in arguments. I just don't want to. I'm sorry. Jesus said, don't cast pearls before swine, because they'll trample them under feet and then turn around and attack you. So if someone doesn't want to hear, okay, I'll go somewhere else. Do that. Okay, so now let's see where I've lived. Okay, so Seattle, I went to high school, I went to college in Portland. I'm a veteran, U.S. Army veteran. Most of that time I was stationed in Germany, but I've been back to Germany a few times since then. Altogether, I've spent about 3 years of my life in Germany. Other places in the U.S. Let's see, I lived in Spokane, Washington for a few years, lived in Chicago for about a year and a half, lived down on Galveston Bay. I really have. Lived down on Galveston Bay near Houston one summer. Oh my goodness, it's hot down there. Oh, is it hot. And lived in Vermont one summer. I was taking classes near Burlington in Winooski, Vermont. St. Michael's College. It's probably St. Michael's University by now, the way colleges evolved. Let's see, I needed to turn this around going up here. St. Michael's, got a certificate there. And then, let's see, where else have I lived? Pensacola. I was in Pensacola probably for a year and a half, something like that. Here in Indiana is where I've lived the longest. Like I said, I've been here almost 20 years. I've also lived overseas twice. I mentioned Germany. I speak some German. If I get around German tourists, then I start remembering words. I also lived in Japan, completely separate. I lived in Tokyo for 5 years. I really enjoyed Japan. I really like Japan. I'll try to not speak Japanese to you, although I'm still conversational in Japanese. I'm not fluent. When I was there, I did all kinds of things. I taught English. I wrote for a magazine. I actually did something most writers can't do. I turned in my articles on time. It's true. So they made me an editor. Pretty good, huh? Turned in my articles on time. I also wrote for a Japanese government newspaper part-time for about a year and a half. I had 2 Japanese handlers, 2 Japanese men who would take me to some place, and then I would do my interview in Japanese, but then write the article in English, and then it would be published. They had a weekly newspaper in Japanese, and then once a month they had a Chinese and English editions because of the foreigners. There's about 100,000. Tokyo is, depends on the time of day, 20, 25 million people, something like that. There's 100,000 foreigners, at least that's what I recall. It's a city. There's a city. New York is the same way. Los Angeles is the same way. Paris, London, there's many major cities that are cosmopolitan. It is a major or the capital city of that country, but at the same time, you've got a sizable international not clientele, but population that's there as part of it. It's a very interesting phenomenon. I've gotten to see that in different countries. Okay, so let's see, where places I've worked. When I was in Japan, I worked in the corporate world for 10 years before I went to Japan. So I'm 65 now, as I said. I was in my 30s when I lived in Japan back in the 90s for about 5 years in Tokyo. And so I actually taught English in the evenings in corporate Japan. Some of the biggest companies and the executives who travel overseas would often do, once a year, they'd do a 3-month class just to keep their English up. And I was privileged to be able to be one of those speakers. Now, one of those teachers, sensei. I would combine things. For example, if I was doing research for an article, because the advanced English speakers, we'd have a textbook, they didn't want to use it. They would want to talk about movies or the news or current events or something like that. And I would actually do research for an article I was working on. They didn't know that. Well, I hope they don't see this. Oh no, that was a long time ago. Anyway, but I would do research. Let's say if I'm doing an article about earthquake preparedness, because Japan gets about 10% of the world's earthquakes. Little Japan. Hey, I have a world map behind me. I haven't told you about my setup here. Okay, that's a fish. I don't know if you can tell it or not. I got it at a thrift store. I didn't catch it. He hasn't tried to bite me yet, so I'm not too worried about him. And then I got a little drone up here, the world map. Oh, that's the Northern Lights. Okay, and then stuffed ahead here, like here. Yeah, I know that some vegans who are really mad right now that I even have this here. It's like, what are you doing with that there? And seashells behind me. So the seashells and the world map, it's kind of like I'm floating underwater and floating high above the earth at the same time, right? Nobody believes me. I don't know why. Okay, let's see. Japan, research articles. Oh, so little Japan gets about 10% of the world's earthquakes. When I lived there, once a year, once every 8 months, anytime day or night, it would just start shaking. It got very spooky, actually. It was shaking. Is this the big one? is this going to be a big one, or is it just going to kind of go away? It really is. It can be very frightening in the middle of the night. You'll wake up suddenly and you'll hear and feel it. And the first thing you need to think of is what's above me. Because you're sleeping on the floor usually, on a futon. Anyway, so, okay, Little Japan, way over here. Right by the fish there. You can't really see it very well. Okay, okay, Berkeley, so places I've worked. So I helped in computer shows when I was in Japan, in Yokohama and Tokyo. I came back from Japan, and because I could speak Japanese, I had a computer background before I went to Japan, I got some really good jobs for a while there. I was working for Microsoft for a while. I really was, in their headquarters in Redmond, Washington, just east of Seattle. Then I worked for Intel Corporation for over a year. Several other companies in the Northwest. I got swept up into the Dotcom boom of 20 years ago. That was an amazing time. It was, sorry I raised my voice. It was incredible. 6 months at a company was considered a long time. It was just unbelievable, that explosion. And then, of course, it came crashing down. So I was a guy, you go from protecting your resume, not wanting the headhunters to see your resume, because they'll call you, they'll just inundate you with emails and calls. You went from that to no one will call you back. I was a guy who had worked for Microsoft, for Intel. I was conversational Japanese, and I couldn't find a job. Wow. Anyway, it was worse for my friends from other countries. I had friends from India, from Egypt, from Pakistan, other countries, and they're paying like $1,000, $1,200 a month or more for rent. Is it going to turn around again? Is it going to go back up? Nobody knew at the time. You don't know. You know, you can always look back at, my degree in history, my degree in college was history. I love history. I don't love what's happened in history. I love trying to understand history. Okay, I'm talking too long here. Let's see, different jobs. I also taught at a Bible college for a couple of years. I have a master's degree in biblical studies. I think that's enough about me. Actually, there's one more thing I need to tell you. I said, please don't kill me or burn down my house or anything. I don't like this idea, but I'm expecting to be doxxed. Doxing is where you expose someone and how horrible they are. I am divorced. I mentioned I'm a grandfather. I am divorced. And the worst thing about me, which I'm going to give you the references, is that I'm a stalker. Okay, I've never been a stalker. In real life, I've never been a stalker. I'm not a stalker now. I have no plans to ever become a stalker. But legally, I'm a stalker. So I'll tell you where you can find this information if you're interested. I'm expecting to be exposed for what I am. So you might as well hear it from me first. So in February, I'll try and make this brief. In February of 2010, a friend's wife called me. She was in her 80s. She called me and told me about a woman who her sister knew that needed help here in Evansville, Indiana. She needed help. She had been a career school teacher. She had never married, had no children. She had 3 houses, but she was living in a hotel room because she was afraid living at home alone. First thing I did is got her car repaired. She had one of these mechanics that you take your car there, you turn in your car, then they charge you hundreds of dollars, but the car is still not fixed. Pretty neat, huh? Yeah, there are mechanics like that. Anyway, so we took her car to my mechanic, got it actually fixed, and then she had problems with the utility bill. She had other problems. Anyway, I ended up helping her life. She was 86 years old, Irma Jean, when I met her and started helping her life. I helped her for about 2.5 years. She's 88. It's August of 2012, so it's about 2.5 years. And I did not push her towards me taking care of her as her health was declining. But I was pushing her that please have living will in place and power of attorney, things like that. Again, hindsight, if I had known what was going to happen, I would have pushed her towards me. I would have offered to be the one to take care of her and to hire nurses or whatever needed to happen. I didn't do that. She chose a particular cousin who, in my opinion, was really a monster. It's one thing if you want someone's money, That's one thing. But why treat her as a human being so horribly with such disregard? So they wanted me out of the house immediately. Within 1 week, and less than a week, she was in the hospital for acute renal failure. R-E-N-A-L. That means renal means kidneys, and acute renal failure means your kidneys are shutting down. So when your body is dying, the brain dying is the worst. Okay, the heart stopping, the brain stopping or dying, and then the heart stopping is the second worst. Third worst is your kidney stopping, because your body cannot clean itself out if the kidneys stop. So she's in the hospital for acute renal failure. Anyway, they just didn't, in my opinion, didn't care about her at all. She was in a hospital room, and that was the last time I ever got to see her, actually. She was dead in less than 6 months. By October of 2012, she no longer could write. She no longer had the ability to write. So I think she had one or more undocumented strokes. Like I say, anyway, she did have a few $1 million. I knew that because sometimes we'd be driving somewhere and she's talking to her financial advisor, and she'd tell me. It wasn't my business, except that I was helping her on a daily basis. And she was paying me by the hour. I was being paid for what I was doing, which I declared on my taxes, by the way. And anyway, so once the guy, the cousin, had control over her life, I don't know what his motives were, but one way to prevent me from ever rescuing her from his evil clutches was to make me a stalker. And he had the power of her money, millions of dollars, to use both against her and against me. There was a sign on the door of her house that said, don't ring the doorbell, you might disturb her, stuff like that. Her friends could no longer see her. It was such a nightmare. My friend Irma Jean. So we go to court, December. Okay, so I need to finish this. You can look it up. Vanderburgh County with a V, V-A-N-D, Vanderburgh County. My last name, Abramson, A-B, Paul Abramson. You can look it up. So Vanderburgh County, December of 2012, I became a stalker against Irma Jean, my friend, Irma Jean. And anyway, that was so much fun. Then he had the power of her money, and I helped to put him in control. And then, like I say, she was dead in less than 6 months, but I had a 2-year legal battle, in which time I lost what little life savings I had was then gone. It was a real nightmare. And I became a stalker against both her and against him. I could not win. If I couldn't win in court for not being a stalker against her, I didn't even bother to go to the one being stalker against him. So I'm a double stalker. So you have people out there who say, they're very cynical, and they say whoever has the most expensive lawyer is the one who wins. You've maybe heard that before. They're cynical people. Well, I'm sorry to say I've become one of those people. It just doesn't matter what the evidence is. If you don't have a lawyer, there's a saying in English, or in America, a person who defends himself in court has a fool for a client. Okay? Now, if you'll add one word to it, I would agree, and that would be poor. A person who defends himself or herself in court has a poor fool for a client. You can't win. I caught him in perjury. December of 2012. Listen to the tape. I don't remember if there's a transcript or not, but it was recorded. And at one point I caught him. He had committed a felony a few years prior, and he lied on the witness stand about it. That's perjury, isn't it? Isn't that perjury? I'm not a lawyer, but the judge looked at me. I didn't know. I'm not a lawyer. It would seem like the facts should speak for themselves. Which one of us is credible, him or me? And they were treating her so horribly. Her jewelry was gone. I don't know what else all went missing. She had some beautiful porcelains. Okay, I need to stop talking about this. Anyway, so I'm a stalker. Okay, enough about me. I need to get this done here. Let's see. What have I forgotten to tell you? Hopefully these proverbs above are interesting to you. I want to talk a little bit about the Bible, just a little bit. I don't know that much about Bible prophecy, but I kind of sample works or listen to a talk, because to my understanding, we are near the end times. Let me give you our history, how I understand it. I made these up. Everything I do is high-tech everything, professional everything. Okay, so we were created about, to my understanding of history, we were created about 6,000 years ago, okay? and that's about 4000 BC, okay, about. And then if you go 2,000 years in, that's the time of Abraham and Job. 2,000 years past that is the time of Jesus and the disciples. 2,000 years past that is where we are now. 7,000 years altogether. A day is as to the Lord, the day is as 1,000 years. 1,000 years is a day. There's a verse in the Bible that says that. And if you look at our history, at least what the Bible claims, we're not millions of years old. We're thousands of years old. I have 2 web pages, and I haven't told you that. So my 2 web pages. These videos, I'm going to try and put them on YouTube. I don't know if they'll be accepted or not. I'll also try Rumble. Put it on there. If I'm not accepted there, I'll try Odyssey. I don't know if I'll try Telegram or not, but I'll put this on my webpage called paulzilla.org, okay? So I lived in Tokyo for 5 years, so I had a nickname of Paulzilla. Kind of like Godzilla, only smaller, but with the same likable personality, okay? Anyway, so paulzilla.org/givelife, okay, is where I'm going to put these. You can download them, you can copy them, tell your friends or whatever. If I'm able to get them online, well, and you like these talks, then please tell other people. Okay, so you can, using the Bible, you can divide human history into 3 parts: 2,000 years, 2,000 years, 2,000 years, and then the final, what's called the millennium, the final 1,000 years. You can also divide human history in half using the Bible, from creation until the time of David and Solomon, the zenith of ancient Israel's power when they were at the height in their kingdom years, okay? So about 3,000 years from creation week until David and Solomon, and then about 3,000 years until today, and then we have another 1,000 years, okay? So I'll use this again in the future, and I got a bunch of stuff here to show you. I don't want this to be too long. Okay, so Bible prophecy. So I believe we're near the end times. I only know of one Bible teacher, sorry I'm raising my voice, who has said this correctly. There's a verse, I didn't print it out. Let's see, Revelation 13, what is it? Revelation 13:18. Okay, let me read it here. Hold on here. Oh, this is a reference Bible, so it's got lots of stuff in the back. Revelation 13:18. Okay, you've heard the Antichrist, you got 666, right? You've heard that, right? Okay, so in Revelation chapter 13:18, here is wisdom. Let him that has understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. This is the King James version that I'm reading from, the authorized translation. Okay, his number is 666. A score is 20. Okay, so 60 would be 60. So 666. That's where you get the 666 from that people talk about. And there's all these people who write Bible prophecy books, and they'll come up with some name, Ronald Wilson Reagan. Oh, 6 letters. I'm sorry, I was a Reagan fan. I voted for Ronald Reagan. But there were people who, back in the 80s, said, oh, look, 666. King Philip. He used to be Prince Philip, right? Okay, yeah. And King Philip, there's people who are now saying he could be the Antichrist. Okay, yeah, I don't think so. I'm sorry, but this has just happened down through time. What you need to do is always use the Bible to interpret the Bible. I don't know why do people who call themselves Jews or Christians, who are observant. If you're a non-observant Jew, okay, that's your business. You can do what you want, if you're ethnically a Jew and stuff. But if someone calls themselves a Christian, it is the Bible that we need to be studying, the whole Bible, Old Testament, New Testament. This number, 666, is in the Bible 2 other places. That's our clue. The last book of the Bible, Revelation, is a Jewish book. I don't know why the Christians don't understand that. There's 22 chapters, 404 verses altogether. Like I said, I'm not an expert on Bible prophecy. I know a little bit about it. And of those 404 verses, there are about 800 Old Testament references. It's at the end of the New Testament. It is in some ways an Old Testament book. It's the completion, the finale of the whole Bible. And all the references, it has 800 Old Testament references about an average of like 2 per verse. Isn't that stunning? Okay, so you want to know what 666 means? Look in the Bible. Okay, here's the 2 references. 1 Kings 10:14 and 2 Chronicles 9:13. I won't read them, but I'll put it here. You can look it on the screen. There's also potentially one more reference, and that's Daniel 3:1. When Nebuchadnezzar, this is about 600 BC, when Nebuchadnezzar was making the statue to himself and how wonderful he was, it says that the statue was 60 cubits high and 6, which would be 60, and then 6 cubits wide. Okay, so that's interesting, the 66. Why is that there? That's just interesting, but it mentions that in Daniel 3:1. So again, you know, Revelation 13:18, and use the Bible as your reference. Sorry, these people who write this stuff, they'll go, oh, from Daniel or from Revelation, oh, the eagle, that's probably America. Oh, the bear, that's got to be Russia. No, come on. Quit it. Quit being so ignorant. They're selling books, but they're not helping people. I'm just going to talk about a few things and then try and finish this out here. I want to give you a reference here. There's a really good series of short videos. Now I've been talking about religious stuff. I want to jump to political and come back to religious. Called Black Wisdom Matters, and they're really good. They're only like 12 to 15 minutes long. Short videos. Each one hits a certain topic very succinctly. They're really good. Black Wisdom Matters. The first one is The Promise of Black Politicians. The second one is The Good Intentions of the Welfare State. Please watch them. Whether you're conservative or liberal, or if you're American or whatever, or maybe if you're from another country, they may be interesting. But they are, I would say you're going to get some wisdom from them. Black Wisdom Matters. I forgot to bring my calendar over here. Darn it, I'll bring it over next time. The average month has 30 or 31 days in it, right? 30 or 31 days, except for February, right? In the middle of the Bible, Psalms is in the middle of the Bible, 150 chapters. Biggest book of the Bible. The next book over is the Book of Proverbs, and Proverbs has 31 chapters. There's 30 or 31 days in a month. If you've never read the Book of Proverbs, please do that 1 or 2 times through. Why not one chapter? They're not that long. It's like about a page each, 1 page. It's dense. It's not an email. Don't skim it. Read it. Read. For example, today, let's see, what is today? April 21st. So you'd read, for example, Proverbs chapter 21 as either in the morning or the evening or your lunch break at work or school or something like that. Why not do that? Another thing to read. This is what so many Christians who have never read anything in the Bible, and they're just trusting their pastor, priest, or rabbi. And any human has a tendency to get off into traditions. When Jesus was criticizing the religious leaders of that day 2,000 years ago, that was one of the problems. They were trusting their traditions rather than what the Bible says. And no, we need to not do that. I would strongly recommend you read the Book of John in the New Testament. Now, where's it at here? Books of the Bible. I found this on another webpage. I was going to make one for this, but these people here, overviewbible.com, I hope they don't mind. This was such a good one, I am using it, but I want to give proper credit for who they are. So it splits up the Bible. You got the Old Testament, and then the New, what Christians call the Tanakh, the Old Testament, and then the New Testament. 4th book of the New Testament, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Okay? 4th book in the New Testament, John. Would you please read it and see if God will speak to you through His Word, through His written Word. Again, don't skim it. Please read it. Or you can watch it online. Go to YouTube or Rumble or Odyssey or Telegram or one of the other online channels or websites, and look up Gospel John or whatever, and you'll see the video or audio versions of John. Listen to it in the car while you're driving. But please let at least 1 or 2 books of the Bible become part of your life. You can change your life in 1 or 2 months if you decide to, by doing a couple things. One is, as I'm just mentioning now, reading the Gospel of John, reading Proverbs, each chapter of Proverbs, and also the third thing is watching Black Wisdom Matters. Now, Black Wisdom Matters is not necessarily Christian. I think most of the men in it is men and women, excuse me, mostly Black and mostly African Americans. Okay, and there's a lot of wisdom in it. So why not? I mean, this life is not about having fun. This time on earth is a temporary time of learning and testing. Character development. There's a verse in the Bible that says, count it all a joy when nothing goes wrong in your life. I'm sorry, that's not what it says. Count it all a joy when everything goes your way. Wait, that's not what it says. Hold on here. Remember a few minutes ago when I said, who does God love more, Bill Gates or you? Well, for whom the Lord loves, he chastises. Okay, we're going to have problems in life if God loves you. I'm sorry, it sounds the opposite. Wait a minute. If God loves me, everything should go my way. They may be teaching that in some church. If they're teaching that in your church, get out and find a real church. Find one that's following the Bible rather than nonsense like that. Prosperity teaching, or name it and claim it, and blab it and grab it, that kind of stuff. Or replacement theology, that the church has replaced Israel. Those people are insane. That is not what the Bible says at all. Okay? It really does not. The church has not replaced Israel. We're in the end times now. Let's see, I don't want to get into this in detail, but basically Israel is back in the land. Jerusalem is the capital again. Hebrew is their national language. Whatever you think of the Jewish nation, there's many people who hate Israel who are completely against it. Well, the Bible says the Jews are the apple of God's eye. So, okay, I need to finish up here. There's a lot of other things I want to talk about, but I'm getting too long. Let me finish with two historical things. So when I lived in Japan, I told you I taught English. There was and we would sometimes talk about movies. There was a particular movie that was popular that came out while I was in Japan. It was called Dances with Wolves with Kevin Costner. Very good film, very interesting film. It's a Hollywood film. In that movie, the white people, except for our hero, Kevin Costner, almost all the white people are just despicable, just reprehensible people. Okay, and it's a movie, whatever. And the Indians, the Native Americans, are portrayed as noble. Noble savage was a word that used to be used in the 19th century. Noble savages, that was used actually in Europe. Anyway, this is a long story. So I had two particular businessmen who wanted me to admit that America was a bad country. Now, there are people who believe that America is a bad country. I don't. I'm not one of them because I know too much history. What my attitude was, what I said to them is every country has bad things in its background. Every country does. Japan does. Germany does. Both places I've lived in. I've traveled. Oh, I didn't tell you about all the other foreign countries I've been to. Let's see, Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, Hong Kong. Been to Hong Kong 4 or 5 times. Korea, South Korea, not North Korea, South Korea. In Europe, let's see, besides Germany, France a few times, Italy, Switzerland, Liechtenstein, Estonia. I've been to Finland a few times, 3 or 4 times in Finland. Where else? Ukraine, Hungary, Romania. Okay, so that's enough. Those are all places I have been privileged to visit and see, or either being in a conference in those countries or traveling and things like that. Let's see, so now, what was I talking about? Okay, so Japanese history. Okay, so they wanted me to admit, this one man was just adamant that I admit that America is a bad country, and I'm sorry, I'm just not interested. You can believe that if you want. Bad things happen. Every country, every culture has bad things happen. So let me back up a little bit. Did you have brothers and sisters when you were growing up? Were they always good angels with little halos on their heads? Were your brothers and sisters? How about the neighbor kids? Was there a bully in your neighborhood? You know what? Within human nature, there is a big variance between people who want to give, people who want to be loving and caring, and people who want to take and get as much as they can. Get. The measure of a man, the measure of man or woman is not how much you can get, it's how much you can give. Jesus said it's more blessed to give than to receive. He's right. The people who think get, no, they're wrong. Okay, so It's part of human nature that there are selfish people, mean people, that people who will use their dominance or their strength to take from others. It's part of human nature. In everywhere I've been in the world that I've seen, in Europe or in Asia or in North America. And let's see. So I need to tell you one thing about Japanese history. And again, I am not against Japan. I'm very positive in Japan. I've been to more Japanese cities than most Japanese people because I was doing research for books or articles or things like that. I've traveled all around the country. Okay, so in Japan, there are actually two ethnic groups, not just one. The main ethnic group is the Yamato people. Yamato, that's the way I'll put it here beside me. Yamato people. But there's a second ethnic group. So in Japanese history, the Yamato people controlled the southern half of Japan, or the southern half or 2/3 of Japan. They kept, in their conquests, the Yamato people were killing, raping, burning down crops and stuff like that. The other persons who were essentially destroyed, they were almost completely wiped out, were the Ainu. And the Ainu they were like erased from existence. You want to talk about ethnic cleansing, Ainu, A-I-N-U. And they had their own language, completely unique. There's no other language like the Ainu language, except maybe, this is so weird, it might be partially related to Finnish. Now that's weird, isn't it? The Finnish language in Europe is unique from other. You've ever heard of the Basques in Spain? The Basque people and their language? What is going on? Where did they... Anyway, and then you got the Magyars. I'm getting way off subject here, and who are now in Hungary, a major portion of Hungary. Okay, so anyway, let's see. So the Ainu have been almost completely wiped out. Now, there's another thing about the Ainu, sorry, I'm smiling, that is so unique, so interesting, and that is that they are Caucasian. They're white folks. Interesting, isn't it? Isn't that amazing? What are they doing way over there? Okay, so now, in my... Bible history here, we had a great flood, the flood of Noah. I got a Noah's Ark here. I'll show you all this stuff later here. I got a Noah's Ark. This is one conception of what it may have looked like. I got a dinosaur. Oh, where's my dinosaur? There he is. Okay, so there was a year of the flood. The flood was not 40 days and 40 nights. It was about a year long. It was raining for 40 days and 40 nights, and it never says in the Bible that rain caused the flood. It never says rain caused the flood. You'll have skeptics go, oh, if you condense the entire atmosphere, it could not flood the continents. Why would people believe the Bible? It doesn't say rain caused a flood. However, the rain started at the same time that the fountains of the great deep, in other words, the volcanoes, the fountains of the great deep, broke open and the earth's crust was convulsing. Anyway, you had the year of the flood. After that, people started multiplying, spreading out, going out around the world. Well, somehow some white folks ended up in Japan. Let me show you what the Ainu look like. A few of them have Asian-looking characteristics, but for the most part, they're white people. Look at these pictures. Isn't that amazing? A-I-N-U, Ainu. Look it up yourself. Look it up for their language or for their people. Okay, so now, I was up in either Sapporo or Hakodate on a city bus going somewhere, and there's a man directing traffic. He's got a blue uniform on, but he's a white guy. A white guy. He's a foreigner, excuse me. I just was looking at him, and, you know, because we're stopped in traffic, and he's directing traffic, but he's got a blue police-type uniform on, directing traffic, and what I was thinking was, how do you get a job doing that? Because I had done all kinds of things. I told you I helped in computer shows, I taught English, I wrote a few books. I was in a Japanese TV commercial. I really was. And I was on the radio a few times. Anyway, so I did a wide variety of things when I was there. I did all kinds of... anyway, okay. And I was looking at the man, and but his mannerisms, the way he held himself, the way he moved, was Japanese. But he's a white guy. And I suddenly realized, I'll never forget this moment. He's an Ainu. I'd never seen an Ainu before. There's less than... Japan is a country of over 100 million. I don't remember offhand how many people. I need to finish this up. Let's see. Japan is over 100 million people. And but there's less than 100,000. I don't remember what the numbers are. I'll look it up and put it here. The Ainu were almost completely destroyed. So if you want to talk about America and the American Indians, okay, yes, Americans have done some bad things. That is true. You know what? We don't have a monopoly on it. We don't. Other countries, other cultures, every culture that I know of has had bad things in their background. So just, what I'm saying is be fair. You know, judge us at the same level as you judge other cultures, rather than saying, oh, America's not fair, America. It's better than any other country I know of. Do you like hot showers? Do you like air conditioning? I've been in some countries where you want to shower, you sit down, you close the toilet lid, and you turn the water on low, and with the hose, oh, that's cold, ow, 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 and you're taking a shower. I'm serious. I have done that before. It hurts. Okay. There's some countries they don't heat their homes. Actually, in Japan, when I lived there, the majority of the people don't heat the whole home. They heat one room in the evening, except for the kitchen, and then you go to the bedroom and you get into bed and it's just freezing cold. Anyway, in Europe, a lot of Europe. Anyway, what we have in America, where people keep their thermostats right at 68 or right at 70 or 65 or 72 or something, it's like we are so spoiled. It is so amazing to me how quickly we have forgotten. Anyway, okay, so I'm getting off subject here. Let's see. So the Ainu. Okay, so the Ainu were almost completely wiped out. They have a museum. I think it was in Sapporo. I went to an Ainu museum. I'm the kind of guy who, you may be the kind of person who looks for amusement parks, roller coasters. I look for museums and cultural centers and libraries, okay? I'm a really exciting guy. Did I mention that? I should have said that. Exciting Paul. Okay. So, and I remember the Ainu woman there. She was a white woman, but she was Japanese. Her English was pretty good. It was just, she was Japanese. She's Ainu, not Yamato. So anyway, if you want to talk about, America and the American Indians, what America did, well, be fair. Okay, so anyway, in this class, now I'm jumping back to Tokyo. I need to finish this. In this class, these two businessmen, they were older than me, and so I needed to be respectful. They were my elders and stuff, but they wanted me to admit that America's a bad country. And like I say, I'm not interested. I know too much history. I'm just not interested in that. You can believe America's a horrible country if you want. I don't. And although bad things have happened, yes, we've done some things wrong. Okay, so, and they kept pushing. And finally I said, well, every culture has bad things in the background. And finally I said, in Japan you have the Ainu. When I said the word Ainu, every single person, there's probably 10 or 12 people, there was a physical response. I wasn't trying to be mean. It was like, be fair. You want to talk about the America and the American Indians, not bad Americas? Well, I'm sorry, but for hundreds of years, the Yamato people were raping, killing, stealing the animals, stealing the farmland, and wiping out the Ainu, to where today there almost none of them exist. Almost none of them. Anyway, so just be fair. Okay, homework assignment, and then probably I'll talk about a couple more things. Homework assignment for you here. Oh, do we have to do homework? Oh, do we have to? Yes, you have to, because I'm going to be checking on you and seeing if you really did your homework. Okay, I've got to go to the side camera sometimes here. Let's see. I want you to go online to one of the big image sites and look up Chinese people beach or Chinese people park, Chinese people working. Okay, so go to Google Images or Bing Images or Getty Images or Shutterstock, or one of the other big image repositories. Chinese people picnic, Chinese people walking, whatever, downtown, Chinese people downtown. And I want you to look at not just 3 or 4 pictures. Look at 15 to 20 pictures, and you're going to notice something. One is they don't look all alike. I'm sorry, that's a stereotype. Some people say, oh, Chinese look all alike. No, they do not. They're very unique. The previous leader of China, pretty sure his name is pronounced Zemin, Z-E-M-I-N. Within China, they said he looked kind of like a toad, and they would have images of toads in him. He didn't like it at all. He did not like it. Okay, well, people. Okay, anyway. So, but if you look at his face and look at a toad, okay. So now the current leader. Xi Jinping, excuse me, I apologize if I'm pronouncing his name wrong. Xi Jinping, he looks kind of like, excuse me, the Chinese people say he looks kind of like Winnie the Pooh, okay? Okay, now, if you look at these pictures of Chinese people, oh, and he does not like that characterization, so please don't tell him that I mentioned that, so that now you know that too, not just a billion Chinese, or 1.2 Chinese, or whatever it is. Anyway, you will notice that some of these people look like they could be Russian or Eastern European. That's what you'll notice. Just a few of them look like that. Now, they've been part of China for 800, 900 years. The Mongolian Empire, dominant people, whether it's a classroom bully or a neighborhood bully or an empire or a country when it's on top, dominant civilizations tend to take from others. This is true around the world. Whether you're talking about Shaka Zulu, who was an African dictator who lived about 200 years ago, whether you're talking about some Native American leader. You know they had slavery among the Native American Indians, right? Did you know that? Sacagawea, her name is also pronounced. She had been enslaved. She was a little girl, about 9 years old, stolen from her tribe by a different Indian tribe. And later, she was part of the Lewis and Clark expedition. I know I'm getting into too many details here. Slavery is not something that America invented. It was true around the world. In Russia, they had serfdom, serfs, which was a kind of slavery. In India, you had the caste system. You were born into a caste, higher or lower, okay? And there are actually, statistically speaking, more slaves in the world today than at any time in all of history. Statistically, whether it's sexual slavery or something else, human trafficking is a horrible problem. Let's see, there's a lot of things I'm touching on here. But what I want to say is, please look at these pictures of Chinese people. 800, 900 years ago, the Mongols spread across, I forgot my pointer stick here, I left it over there. The Mongols spread all the way across Asia to Eastern Europe. And they took what they wanted. Dominant cultures do that. You saw a pretty woman, saw a pretty Russian woman. You, now my wife, maybe he's on horseback or something, and you, now my wife, come with me, right? And or for a man, you'd see an artisan or a craftsman or an engineer, someone else with talents. You, come with us. And so they'd go back to Asia, and then they'd never to see their homes again, taken back to what is now China, okay? So this is part of history. It's part of around the world. I mentioned that Japanese, now the Ainu is different, than these people, because the Ainu were their own distinct ethnic group, distinct from the Yamato, as you can see in the pictures I showed you. The Ainu, they're white people. I mean, look at them. And but the ones in China, now they're discriminated against because they're not the Han Chinese. The dominant ethnic group in China is the Han Chinese, the Han subset of the Chinese people. They're the dominant ones. Okay, so that's my thing here. Is there anything else I should throw in this first edition? Yes, I want you to please consider, and I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nurse, I'm not a nutritionist, would you please consider taking a multivitamin every day and a vitamin C? Now, if you're a person who says, oh, I get my vitamins from my food, are you eating mostly processed foods? Are you eating fast foods? Okay, well, you may not be getting all of your vitamins. Please consider taking a multivitamin and a vitamin C each day. The reason is if you grow food from the same soil for 50 years or 70 years, okay, every year the crops are pulling out the iron, the magnesium, manganese, the calcium, the selenium, the molybdenum, the aluminum, all the different minerals that are in the soil. They're pulling. And if you're not putting it back, logically, 50 years or 70 years later, is there just as much iron and potassium and magnesium as there was 50 years ago or 70 years ago? There isn't, is there, right? Please consider supplementing. I'm 65. I see so many, I live in a blue-collar neighborhood, okay? I see so many young people who are dying. They're only half alive. Some are using drugs, but some of them are just the pallor of their skin, of their eyes. I'm not talking about the color of their skin. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the health of their skin, of their eyes, and their fingernails. Are the fingernails healthy? I know that sounds weird. You can tell a person's health by these different things. And they're dying. They're looking for that next energy drink. Give me the next energy drink. Blah, 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 blah. And then they feel good for the next hour or two. No, you need to fuel the body. You need vitamin A, the B vitamin, C, D. You need zinc. You need iodine. I got several books here which I haven't shown you yet. But please consider, I brought a few vitamins out because I was going to talk about that briefly. And then my father, I never knew my father very well. Okay, you're supposed to honor your father and your mother. Oh, here, I didn't even show you most of my things here. You're supposed to honor your father and your mother, so I won't talk about my dad very much. But here's the Ten Commandments. This is the Catholic version. There's 3 different versions of the Ten Commandments. Most believers don't know that. There's 3 versions. It is the same 17 phrases. 17 phrases in the original Hebrew. How they were split into 10, we don't know. So there's actually 3 versions, what's usually called the Jewish version, what is often called the Catholic and Lutheran version, and then what's called the Protestant version. I like this version. I'm a Protestant, but I like this version because it also has the 2 commandments. You know, if you sum up what are the 2 commandments, love God with your heart, soul, and mind, and strength. Love your neighbors yourself. So I like that. So I thought, well, I'll use this, and hey, I could be wrong on some things, so I'll use that. Please consider, now my father, who I never knew very well, late in his life he was taking lithium. So I decided to find a mineral water that has lithium in it, and there's a place in Texas that sells this stuff called Crazy Water. I've bought a few cases. I've actually been there because I drive lots of places, and so I've been there a couple times and bought a couple cases. This doesn't taste very good. This is number 4. It's the strongest, but it has lithium in it. It's one of the many minerals in it. And so, do I need it? I don't know. Lithium is the lightest of the minerals. Hey, I'm getting to show you most of my stuff here, or a lot of it. Here's lithium, okay? You thought I came unprepared, didn't you? I need to finish this here. I need to finish talking to you here. This is getting way too long. But lithium is the lightest of the metals. It's in none of the plants. None of the post-flood plants that we have lithium in it, but maybe we need it, or maybe some people are more susceptible to needing it than others. I don't know. And so I decided to get a mineral water to hopefully help me. Like I said, my father, many things happened to us genetically. Okay, if you have gummy vitamins, please put them where kids can't get them. More and more, I'm sorry I'm jumping all around here. More and more in the last 10 years, there are children being admitted to the hospital, and they're eating just like they might if they raid the cookie jar and eat all the cookies. They'll see these gummies, and boy, that tastes good, and they'll eat the whole thing, and this is toxic. Most of your vitamins and minerals have a minimum amount, but they also have a maximum amount. And if you take more than that, it is harmful to you. Iron is that way. Selenium is that way. Well, actually, a lot of them are. Iodine is that way. I actually have a book here on iodine because most people are not getting enough iodine. Do you know your IQ will go down if you don't have enough iodine? By up to 10 points. It negatively affects the brain if you do not have enough iodine. Okay? This is a really good book. I got it from the library, and then I liked it so much I bought a copy because I wanted to be able to refer to it. Okay, but getting back to the hospital, please treat this like medicine and put it where your kids or grandchildren, if you're an older person, grandchildren, where they can't get to it because they might eat it, they won't tell you, and then they're starting to get sick, they won't tell you what they did until maybe, this is tragic. This is happening more and more in the last 10 years. Please understand the danger, okay? Now, what else do I need to show you here? Okay, this is a minor thing. Okay, here's a couple of things. Concerning this. Okay, concerning foods. We are so badly malnutritioned, and so many people are eating instant food or processed food or fast food. This is a book I found. I haven't read the whole thing yet. The Crazy Makers. How the food industry is destroying our brains and harming our children. Okay? Read it yourself. You can take a look. They got statistics in here. They got stuff like that. What I'm recommending to you is please consider taking a multivitamin and a vitamin C. Vitamin C is the most basic of the vitamins, and your body can't store it. You've got oil-based vitamins and water-based vitamins. Okay. Oil-based vitamins are like A, D, and E, so you can overdose on those. The B vitamins and vitamin C are water-based. Your body can't store it. If you don't get vitamin C for a few days, or some of the B vitamins, you're in trouble. Okay, actually, so I showed you pills. There's powders also available. You can mix this into a drink. Throw this into your bag and then put it in your juice or water or something, and have it at lunch at the cafeteria or whatever. These are really good. It's called Emergency. And then there's I don't have an off-brand here, but there's off-brands that CVS sells, and Walgreens and the other, or Walmart and stuff like that. They'll have them. And these can be very helpful. Okay, so just do that. And then I like Zip Fizz. I buy these by the case. Mostly you buy these where you'll get just one of them or something. Well, I buy these by the case because I love them when I'm traveling. They have got so much vitamin B12 in them. Rather than caffeine, if I'm driving long distances, that is what I want, is this Zip Fizz. Actually, you're supposed to put it in a bottle of water, but I'll actually put some on my tongue. Do what I say, not what I do. Do what I say, not what I do. What I do is I'll put some on my tongue. I'll be driving. I'm driving along. I'm completely safe. I'm completely safe driver. I'll put some on my tongue. That's probably a good amount. And then I'll drink some water afterwards, and it's fizzing in my mouth and going down my throat and stuff. Okay, so do what I say, not what I do. So what you should do is you should put in a bottle of water and then drink it that way. Another thing I want to recommend, our world is changing quickly. America is no longer the country it used to be 50 years ago or 70 years ago. 70, 80 years ago, we were the country that liberated so much of one of the main countries that liberated so much of the rest of the world. Now we're falling into tyranny. We're not there yet. I am hoping we will turn it around. We may not. I told you I can't, I used to be able to speak on college campuses. Now just the anger, the intolerance, the insanity is coming so strong. If you don't have your passport yet, I know this sounds crazy. That's okay. If you think I'm crazy, that's fine. It's only a couple of pages. You'll need a birth certificate. You'll need what's called Real ID. It costs $100 or $120, $130, something like that. Apply for a passport. It lasts for 10 years. Would you get it? You see, at some point, and then have it, just so you have it, but I'm not going anywhere. Yeah, and you won't be able to go anywhere if they change the rules. What if they change the rules that you can't get a passport unless you need it? Okay? That's happened in countries before. Every country is imperfect. Every culture has bad things in their past and maybe in their future. This guy, I really like he's got some stuff for low-budget people. Oh, I showed you my trillions of dollars, but truth be told, I'm a multi-hundredaire, okay? Besides my trillions in Zimbabwe. I'm not a multi-millionaire, not a multi-billionaire. I'm a multi-hundredaire, okay? But this man, Andrew Henderson, this is his book, very good book. And I'll show this full screen here or whatever so you can see it. It's about it's about a lot of things that may be helpful for you and stuff. What else? Oh, I need to tell you, studying the Bible. If you still believe in evolution, would you please watch a creation seminar? There's lots of speakers out there, lots of ministries. The best single one I know of is Kent Hovind, seminar number 3, Dinosaurs and the Bible. Hovind, Hovind, Dinosaurs. If you type in Hovind Dinosaurs Bible, you will find it. Free. Completely free. It's over 2 hours long, 2.5 hours long. You will be stunned. You will be, if you've never heard creation theory before. Or evolution is science and creation is religion. Oh, it is, really? Then how come the scientific evidence supports creation just fine? The second most favorite of his series would be number 4, Lies in the Textbooks. And that's episode number 4. Again, this is free. It's online. I have it on my webpage, creationism.org, in about 30 languages or something like that. And then seminar number 1, The Age of the Earth. But if you'll just watch, can't you spend one evening or 2 evenings breaking it up, an hour in one evening, an hour in the next evening, and watch? To learn about our ancient history, and that it is possible the earth is not millions of years old, and that science supports it just fine. In 1 or 2 months, you can change your life if you decide to. There's a verse in the Bible that says, "My people perish for a lack of knowledge." so many people are being, let's see, it's willingly ignorant, dumb on purpose. Don't do that. They're watching, they get home from work and then, or school, and then they're watching whatever it is on the TV screen or on web pages or whatever, or they're playing video games. Do. I killed 14 people. Okay, I really need to be careful what I say here. Okay, another thing I would strongly recommend you watch, if you've never seen it, is the Jesus film. Jesus film. It's in over 1,000 languages. These are just a couple of different versions of it. I buy these by the case to give them out. I will usually, if I give people a DVD, I will ask them to promise that they will watch at least 15 minutes within the next 30 days. The reason is, someone takes a DVD from you, it costs you $1, but if they never watch it, it doesn't do you or them any good. But if they'll promise to watch at least 15 minutes within the next 30 days, and I have it, then I'll give it to them. Chuck Missler, Learn the Bible in 24 Hours. I mentioned reading John and reading the Book of Proverbs, the Gospel of John. Oh, at the very end of the Bible, there are 3 books called 1 John, 2 John, and 3 John. So, right here, okay, that's, when I said John, those are very good books too, but that's not what I'm suggesting you read. I'm suggesting you read John the Gospel, which has 21 short chapters. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. Okay, so it's not too far in. If you open a Bible and you find these, those are good books too, but it's different. They're actually completely different, okay? Anyway, Learn the Bible in 24 hours. I've actually taught this as a class. I've gone through it, I don't know, 5 or 6 times or something like that. And then I've taught it as a class 2 or 3 times. 24 one-hour lessons. And there's a DVD series. I don't have it in front of me. I got it here somewhere. This is an edition here. So it's in audio format, it's in video format. This is the book. And you will, if you go through this a couple of times, Learn the Bible in 24 hours, you will know the main themes of the Bible better than the majority of pastors, priests, and rabbis. I'm serious, you really will. And it's cheap. They're on eBay. They're used. You can buy it. You can get them. The khouse.org is the ministry. Dr. Missler passed, he and his wife Nancy both passed away in the last several years. But this is such an excellent thing. Now, 24 hours. Okay, so in an average year, not an average year, every year, you got 52 weeks. Okay, 52. Now let's subtract from that Christmas, Thanksgiving, 4th of July weekend, and Easter. Bam, 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 bam. That leaves us 48, right? 48 weeks of Sunday school or of Bible study. Okay, if you're doing a one night a week, Wednesday night or Thursday night Bible study. That's 48 sessions. So you could listen to a half hour once per week and then half hour of discussion, right? Half hour or an hour, depending on how long your class is, your Bible study. Half hour and then half hour discussion, and in 1 year, and go through it in a year. I've done that a couple of times. It's actually a good thing to do. In the 3rd episode, I'm going to talk about documentaries. This is one that is really good. There's a whole bunch of them out there. I mentioned the Black Wisdom Matters. Please watch that, please. And then this one, I'll just mention it briefly. I've seen this a couple times already, but it is a very good documentary, particularly if you have small children. Okay, and here's another good documentary. I buy these and give them away. As I said, I will look them for them, buy them up cheap on the internet and give them away. 180 is what this is called. Okay, it's really good. I think it's less than a half hour. It is 33 minutes long. That's what it says, 33 minutes. Very good video. Expand your horizons. Please consider that our modern society is in the process of going insane. And it is, and that has happened to countries. In Germany, 1930, Germany was a normal country. In 1932, they elected a man who they didn't realize he was crazy, Adolf Hitler. And by about 1935, it was too late. It was too late. Once he was in power, and then he brought his thugs in with him. Now it's too late. The German people were now on a course to insanity, on a course to the destruction, and so many tens of millions of lives were destroyed. America right now, I'm sorry to say it, I know I can be very cynical, is in a course towards potential insanity. I don't like that. I really don't like that, but it's happening. I have these here. There's a lot of other things I want to talk about. Would you, on your front door and your back door, when you buy a deadbolt or buy a lock, they have these really short screws. Okay, I want to show you. This is a video I happened to see recently, so I got some screen captures called Doorbell News. So this is 5 images of a man kicking a door twice. He hits it, he turns around and kicks, and then kicks, and the whole door, both sides, goes flying in. And if you'll notice, the last picture, it's just the trim. Just the trim that has gone away with the door. The reason is the screws are way too short. I'm sorry I'm raising my voice. Would you go to the hardware store and please get some long screws and take out those short screws that are like a half an inch or 3/4 of an inch long, and then put in some real screws so that for your both sides on the door, both inside the door and inside the frame, on both sides, the hinges and the deadbolt, and replace it with real screws. Personal opinion, it should be illegal for these short screws. I'm sorry, that's just my opinion. These short screws, because people don't think about it. Oh, my door's locked now. No, it isn't. It can be kicked in really easily. Please I actually do this as ministry. I bought a big box of these for like $15 or something, and then people at church. Actually, there's a woman tomorrow. I'm going to be I'm charging up my cordless drill. Actually, right now, tomorrow I'm going to be going over and helping her and replacing the screws in her front and back doors on both sides so that someone can't just kick it in. I recently wrote a letter. I'm going to put a couple letters online. Where did I put them? I recently wrote a letter to a bunch of different lock companies. I'm a nobody. Okay, I know I'm a nobody. I realize that, but I think about things. I told you I'm doing this because I know too much. I'm going to put this letter online because it's not particularly personal or private. It's a 3-page letter that I wrote to a whole bunch of lock companies because I know too much. And I'm going to put it on paulzilla.org, Give Life. I'm getting my pen out because I got to decide the name I'm going to give it as I'm telling you. Okay, so it's going to be called Abramson. Things get on the internet and they'll put like, picture.jpg or photo.jpg, and then you look at it and go, where did this come from? I have no idea, and you'll never find where it came from. So this is Abramson Locks May. Got the name? No, May? April. I'm sorry, I mixed up here. April 2023. Okay, so I'll put this and I'll put it in maybe RTF format. RTF is safe. You can get the reason I'm saying safe or not, Word format or some of the formats, viruses can be attached in it. So I'll put this in both text and in probably RTF format, rich text format. And so I got a couple pictures and stuff like that. It's kind of technical. You may not understand everything in it. But between what hackers are doing and what lockpicking capabilities are, it is horrific what can be done. 2 years ago, being the troublemaker that I am, I wrote to a whole bunch of food companies. I told you about malnutrition in our society. Please start taking a multivitamin stuff. So I'm going to put this letter up where you can find it. I wrote to like 35 huge food companies, huge ones as affects America. Nestle, PepsiCo, Yum, McDonald's, a whole bunch. There's like 32 or 35 food companies, and then like 3 government agencies. And I'll call this one Abramson. About nutrition. Nutrition, and this was from May of 2021, MAY2021, which you can see right there. And I'm going to show you a chart here. So we have, this is the last thing, I'm almost done. I've been talking way too long. We have, for minimum, this would be for a man, 31 to 50 years old. So it varies if you're a child or a teenager or a baby, obviously, or a man or a woman. The average biological man or biological woman, okay, your body, what your body needs, okay? And so you have here the minerals you need. This is just the minerals, not the vitamins. The problem is we're getting too much of 2 minerals and not enough of every single one of the other minerals, okay? Like I said, there was a whole bunch of stuff I wanted to talk about and I never even got to it. For example, potassium. You need, some sources say 3 grams, 3.4 grams per day. That's 3,400 milligrams. But some sources say 4,700 milligrams, 4,700. Compare that to the sodium, okay? Potassium compared to sodium. Sodium, we only need about 1,500 milligrams per day. That's a huge difference. The problem is salt, well, I won't show you my periodical tables of the elements again, but salt, NaCl, sodium chloride, that's what salt is, sodium chloride, so we're getting a lot of salt in our diets. We're not getting enough potassium. Most people are not getting enough potassium. Sodium tends to raise your blood pressure up. Potassium tends to lower your blood pressure. You need both, okay? And many people are not getting enough potassium in their daily diet. This hurts you. Magnesium in this list here, which I'll show you now a couple times, magnesium. We need like about 400, 300, depends on if you're a man or a woman or whichever, 300 to 400 milligrams a day. We know of over 300 biochemical processes that need magnesium. You will not sleep well if you don't have enough magnesium. You will not digest your food properly if you don't have enough magnesium. I'm serious, folks. Please don't just assume that, oh, my food tastes good, I'm getting all my vitamins. You may not be, my friends. Please consider the idea of taking supplements. Okay, so now for salt, for the sodium chloride, I have here 2 here, and this is potassium chloride. Is there sodium in it? Very little. Okay, so this is new salt. This is one brand. It's just a brand. New salt, and it is potassium chloride. Potassium is K on the periodic table of elements. Let's see if I can find it here. You don't want to see it here. Here it is, K. Here it is, K, right here, okay? Potassium chloride. Chloride's over on the other side. And then sodium is right here, okay, Na, okay? Potassium, and so potassium chloride, it tastes almost the same as sodium chloride, as regular salt. But it is going to help you if you're getting too much sodium and not enough potassium. Well, then get this instead and put it on your food. Oops. Hey, this is open. Woohoo, that tastes salty. Ooh. I don't have anything to drink. Okay, I should. Okay. It's pretty good stuff. Okay, it's actually very good, very flavorful. If it was on food. Okay, this is from Morton, just a different brand. Okay, and this one is half. Excuse me, not half. It's about 1/4 or 1/3 sodium, and the 2/3 or 3/4 sodium chloride, and 2/3 or 3/4 potassium chloride. So this gives you a good balance of your sodium and potassium needs. Now, if you buy this in the supermarket, these are expensive. I don't know why. They're just so expensive. I'm sorry to say it, you probably will need to buy them online. I buy this kind of stuff by the case, okay? I'll buy 6 of them, then I'll give a couple away or a few away or something, because then the prices are a lot cheaper, and I know I'm going to use it anyway. So, I showed you that I can wear hats, I wear a Hawaiian shirt, I showed you what I look like in a suit. Hopefully you've liked some of these proverbs I've had up here. There's a lot of other things I wanted to talk about, but I think I have talked long enough. Folks, I hope that this has been edifying, educational, and entertaining. As I said, I'm probably going to make 20, if I'm allowed to, if I'm able to post. 20 is maximum, maybe just 10, I don't know. Will they be interesting for people? I don't know. I hope so. That's my intention. So God bless you. I'm going to pray for you before we finish, and if you agree with my prayer, please amen at the end. And who I'm going to pray to is the creator of the universe, okay? So even if you are a Muslim or you are Hindu or of another faith, maybe you can relate enough that I'm praying to the creator of the universe to the best how I understand him, he or she, they or it, okay? Him, her, it, they or it. I'm sorry, I used to live in California. I told you that, right? And so I'm going to pray for us. And if you agree with my prayer, please amen at the end. If you don't agree, well, then don't amen. And if you hate prayer, if you cannot stand that someone is going to pray, then please either burst into flame, okay? Burst into flame because someone is praying, or please start melting. Help me, I'm melting, I'm melting. Or third things you can do is you can jump up, run around the room, run circles around the room like a chicken with your head cut off, okay, if you really cannot stand prayer, okay? But it should be the most natural thing in the world. We are created beings. Atoms are empty. Did you know that? I don't want to talk about creation too much here. Atoms are 99.999% empty. Every atom. We are in a hologram. According to string theory, which is based on math. Okay, I'm going to pray here. But there are 10 or more dimensions all around us. We can't see most of what's going on. The spirit world, which is all around us, to my understanding of reality, we can't see it. We usually don't operate in it. It's not a part of our lives usually. It is becoming part of our lives. There's more and more movies with witchcraft and with people casting spells and stuff. So they're coming back, even though you still got so many people who are atheists. And I'll talk about that. Okay, excuse me, I never finished with, before I pray, I'm going to finish with prayer. But, okay, so this one, introduction. Second one, movies. Okay, anyway, hopefully you'll find some movies in there that you'll like. I don't know. Third one, documentaries that I like, documentaries and some books. Episodes 4 and 5 will be what I'm calling Atheism is Inherently Unscientific, Part 1 and Part 2. So I am smiling because I have a funny feeling some people might disagree with that statement. They get so angry. When I was in Berkeley, I actually spoke to atheist groups sometimes. I would voluntarily go. And I would try to reason with them. Who are we? What are we? Why are we? I know I don't have all the answers. But even though we strongly disagree, can't we still discuss this? Can't we still reason with each other? Can't we? The human experience, who we are, what we are, you know, who are we, what are we, why are we? Why do we exist? Did aliens put us on this planet? Were we seeded, panspermia? That's a name for that theory. There are scientists who believe that. I don't believe that. But there are scientists who believe that. The aliens are the ones who put our lives here on Earth. Evolution temporarily is the dominant belief system, but then there's creation theory, which is the one that I identify with, that I believe. So let me go ahead and pray for us, and then I'll go ahead and finish this. Father in heaven, Father in heaven, I'm going to pray to you as creator, since I'm trying to be inclusive here to other people, because your word, I contend, says, if any man lack wisdom, if any person lack wisdom, let him, her ask of you, who gives liberally to all men, to all persons. So Lord, I pray for wisdom for us. There's so much we cannot see, myself and the persons watching this in a delayed setting. They're watching it later. But there's so much we can't see. I pray for wisdom. I pray for protection from deceptions. Help us. I thank you for your many blessings, Lord. Now there's some people out there who are having a very hard time in life. Would you guide them? Please, Lord, be merciful and help guide them. Help the people out there. Help them to get enough vitamins and minerals that they can think. There's so many young people these days that can't think. They're just not, physically, they're just not able to. They're not getting the nutrients they need, Lord. I can just see it. They can't think logically. It's so tragic how quickly Western society is falling. Anyway, Lord, I'm sorry for... I know my prayers aren't very exciting sometimes, but anyway, help these people who are watching this, Lord. Help each of us. I believe that I pray, Lord, that I am representing your word, your truths accurately in the things that I am saying. And so in that we should develop character, patience. Among those are patience, long-suffering, kindness, gentleness, other characteristic attributes, being merciful, being loving, being respectful of others. Help us to do that, Father. Creator in heaven. Creator, and please help each person. thank you again for your many blessings. Amen. So thanks for watching. God bless you. Goodbye.